Hello, this is Allie with the Perception Trainers, author of The Perception Diet, and today I want to talk to you about why it's so hard to stick to a self-love routine when everything in your life is going awesome, and then why it's hard to get back into a self-love routine when everything falls apart. So, has this ever happened to you? You are maybe going through a bit of a tough time, or maybe you've been struggling with something for a period of time, and you start to kind of get into some self-love, self-care routines in your life. So you start to get into maybe eating a little bit healthier, or you start journaling, or you start doing yoga, or you start meditating, or you start doing some things that actually do serve to help make you feel better in your circumstance. Maybe you're dealing with some depression, or you're dealing with some anxiety, or just other kind of mental things that have been going on, or emotional things, or physical things. And like I said, you get into these routines and they start to make you feel better. Then all of a sudden your life turns and things start getting better, like in your life just in general. Maybe you get a new job, or you get a new lover, or you get a new best friend, or things just start going well, right? Or maybe you're not being triggered as much or whatever. And you find in that time when things start to go well and things start to go good and you're feeling good and feeling better, that you're like, well, I don't really need my self-care stuff. I'm doing great. I'm already feeling good. I'm feeling fine. I don't need that stuff anymore. And you kind of forget about it. Or maybe you don't necessarily consciously think, I'm feeling fine, I don't need it, but you maybe get wrapped up in your life and you get busy and you just kind of leave it to the wayside and it just stops being a priority. Then something happens and you find yourself back in your depression, or back in your anxiety, or back in your previous situation, and you find that trying to get back into your self-love routine and back into your self-care is even harder than it was before, right? You feel kind of like you're in this maybe self-loathing or wallowing in your pain feeling, and it almost feels like you would rather stay there than to start to do your self-love stuff. And I actually get this question often of like, why is it so difficult to keep going on my self-love routine when things are going well, and then when things inevitably fall apart again, why is it even that much harder to get back into self-love? And I actually recently just received a request from someone who watches these videos for this video, and then I received another request from someone else to make this video. So it's awesome, because I know that a lot of you out there are asking this question, and obviously this is coming up a lot for people, that essentially you start getting into your self-care routine, then life starts to go good, so you forget all about it, and then when things go bad again, you can't get back into it. And I have the explanation for you as to why that's happening for most people, and I'm going to give you the one little mental switch that you need so that you can maintain your self-care routine and your self-love routine even when things are going good and when things are going well, so that it's there for you when things start becoming challenging again. Because this is how life is going to work for all of us forever, right? None of us are ever going to get to a place where everything in life is perfect and everything in life is awesome, or even everything in life is pretty great, and then no challenges ever come again, or no rough patches ever come again, or we can like just coast on this awesomeness for the rest of our lives, right? Life is always going to be kind of up and down. And so it is our responsibility to learn how to love ourselves and nourish ourselves just as much when we're down as when we're up, and when we're up as when we're down. And because that's so incredibly important, right? We need to be our own stability. We need to be our own safe place. We need to be our own place where we can count on how it's going to be in our own internal environment, so that when the external environment is the way that it is, waves, we can be the calm under the surface, right? Okay. So the first thing that I want to talk about here is we are all hungry for our own love. Okay? This is bar none what everyone is dealing with on the planet, okay? Everyone who's sad, everyone who's lonely, everyone who's struggling, everyone who's in depression, everyone who's in anxiety, everyone who's in maybe an eating disorder, anyone who's struggling and suffering and finding this life really, really difficult, there is an element of it, maybe not the whole thing, but there's a large element of it where you are crying out for your own love. Okay, you are crying out for your own attention. You are crying out for your own validation. You are crying out for your own loving kindness. Okay, and when we learn to love ourselves and be kind to ourselves and be nice to ourselves inside of our suffering, that is a huge step forward. Because most of us beat ourselves up when we're sad, or beat ourselves up when we're down, or beat ourselves up when we're depressed, and tell ourselves we shouldn't be this way, and we should be better, and we should be doing better, and we should be trying harder, and we should be happy, and we should be all these things. And like in many of my videos before, we've talked about this, that when you're in your negative emotion, that's a very important time to be nice to yourself, and to love yourself, and to nourish yourself, and to be kind to yourself, all right? Because that is what you are asking for, all right? However, if you are using your self-love and self-care routine as a band-aid, or if you're using it as kind of like a fire extinguisher for when things go wrong, that is going to be when you fall off the self-love wagon when things are going well, okay? So if you're treating self-love like something that you do to fix yourself, right? Something that you're doing to try and mend the sadness, or mend the darkness, or mend the thing that you think is wrong with you, when things start going well, you're going to let it go, all right? And this is the first click that I need, am offering for you to make, is that self-care is not something that you do to fix yourself. Self-care is not a fire extinguisher for when things are going bad. Self-care is not a way to placate the negative stuff in your life, all right? Self-care should be done because you love yourself and you realize you are deserving of self-care, and you are deserving of your own attention, and you are deserving of your own love, all right? Because if you're using it as a fire extinguisher, if you're using it as a self-improvement tool, because this is where it gets tricky and slippery, right? When we start to use self-love as a self-improvement tool, rather than I deserve to be treated this way whether or not I'm good or bad, right? When we use it as a self-improvement tool, we are going to let it go when things go good. And then when we do that, right, you'll notice when things start going well and you stop doing your self-care behaviors and your self-care routine and your self-love stuff, right? Essentially what you're doing is you've stopped paying attention to yourself again. You've abandoned yourself again. When things are going well, you forget all about taking care of yourself because things are just going well, right? So that means when something bad happens again, you are going to be extra desperate for your own attention and extra desperate for your own love. And that means you've now trained yourself that you only love yourself and take care of yourself and are nice to yourself when you're down. So you're going to want to stay down. Lo and behold, you get down there, you don't want to do your self-care stuff. You don't want to do your self-love stuff because you know that will make you feel better. And now you've trained your brain that when I feel better, I abandon myself again. Right? I stop paying attention to me. I don't take care of myself. This is just a band-aid or, a salve for when I'm down, and then when I'm back up again, I'm going to forget all about myself again. Right? And that's why we get stuck down there. Because your internal self is basically saying, well, the only way you pay attention to me is when I'm down. So I'm just going to stay down. I don't want to go back up. Because when I go up, you forget about me. You see what I'm saying? So we cannot treat self-love and self-care and self-respect and all of these lovely things as a band-aid. And we can't treat it as something that you do when there is something wrong with you and then you abandon when you are feeling good, right? That can't be how it is. And that's why when we talk about self-love, it's not the opposite of what you're doing in self-hate. You see what I'm saying? Because when we're in self-hate, we ignore ourselves, we berate ourselves, we are mean to ourselves, we tell ourselves we shouldn't be feeling sad or we shouldn't be doing this. And then we wallow in our self-pity and we stay down there, and not to say we wallow as in, you consciously are making a choice not to feel better. It's that it's very difficult to move forward. It genuinely feels like a part of you wants to move forward and get better and feel better, and a part of you wants to stay down. And so when we're treating self-love, and so when we're hating ourselves like that, and then we start to treat ourselves nicely, but again, through this lens that there's something wrong with us that we're trying to fix through our self-care, that's not self-love either. That's just the opposite side of self-hate, right? So instead of treating yourself like crap when you're down, you're treating yourself like you're broken and you need to fix you. You see? That's not actually self-love. Self-love is when you say, no matter if I'm down or up, no matter if I'm left or right, no matter if things are going great, no matter if things are going poorly, I am deserving of my own love. You see how that is completely different than I am beating myself up for how I am, or I'm trying to fix how I am? You see? So self-love cannot come from a place of trying to fix yourself. Because if it is, you will fall off when things go good, and then you'll have a really, really, really hard time getting back on it when things go bad, because you will essentially, like I say, have trained yourself that I only take care of me when I'm down. So I'm just going to stay down, because then at least I get some attention. Because I know when things are good, I don't love myself at all, right? So self-love is all the time. Self-love is, I am deserving of my own love, I am deserving of my own attention, I am deserving of my own affection all the time. I am not doing my self-love practices to fix myself. I am not doing my self-love practices to make myself different than I am. I am not doing my self-love practices to get rid of my depression, to get rid of my anxiety, to get rid of my negative habits so that I can become this perfect person. No, that's not the point, okay? You love yourself where you are because you're deserving of love. You take care of yourself where you are because you're deserving of being taken care of. Whether or not you're acting good, it doesn't matter, okay? So again, if you're using your self-love as a way of trying to get yourself to act better, when you start to act better, you will forget about yourself. And then you will always fall back down and then have a hard time, okay? So self-love is not a method of self-improvement. You need to let go of that. Self-care is not a method of self-improvement. Don't do it to try and fix yourself. Do it because you're worthy of doing it. And then if you come from it at the angle of I am worthy of taking care of myself all of the time, I am doing this self-care whether I'm down or whether I'm up, not to try and change myself, but to try and change how I think about myself. You will do it no matter what, right? And then when you're up, you can stay up. And then when you're down, you'll want to go back up, because that will actually feel better. Because you will be up and taking care of yourself. You see what I'm saying? Rather than up and ignoring yourself, or down and taking care of yourself, right? Self-love is not something to try and fix you. And so if you let go of this idea that self-love is to fix you, and you move into the idea that self-love is because you are deserving of your own love all the time, no matter what, you won't need to crash in order to get yourself back on the path, all right? Self-love is not to fix yourself. Let go of the idea that self-love and self-care is trying to fix you, and that understand that there's nothing about you to fix. All you have to do is love yourself, take care of yourself, and yes, you will act in new and better and different, more positive ways. That's a byproduct of taking care of yourself, but that's not the point, okay? The point is you are deserving of your own love. Right here, right now, nothing has to change. Start acting like that, and that whole cycle will disappear. All right? So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, leave them down below. I love hearing from you. Let me know if you have any video requests. Find me on Facebook, Perception Trainers, on Instagram at Ali_Perception Trainers. Like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.